The different forms of trauma. Presented by the Ward and Wellness Services. In association with CJ Ward Creations. Before. The greatest method to help children and family members recover after an earthquake is to be prepared ahead of time. Because large earthquakes are uncommon, many people may be unaware of the danger. Families should do the following to strengthen their preparedness. Know their risk. Encourage families to find out if they live in an earthquake-prone location and, if so, to purchase earthquake insurance. Know where to go in the event of an earthquake. Families should designate a safe space in each room of their home, place of business, or school. This includes against a solid interior wall or beneath heavy furniture. Encourage children to look for dangerous spots near windows, outside doors, outside walls, and anything that could fall. Remind them that they must stay inside until the shaking has stopped. Once the tremor is finished, they should find 2 escape routes to the outside. If they are outside, kids should stay still but move away from buildings, cables, and other potentially dangerous things. As communications may be disrupted, have them choose a meeting location. Practice responding to an earthquake. To keep safe during an earthquake, teach your family to drop, cover, and hold on. At least once a year, they should practice performing these behaviors. The Great Shakeout will be held in many localities, reminding locals that it is time to practice. Secure furniture, the water heater, and things that can slide or fall. Families should be encouraged to secure heavy items that could fall. Make sure they know how to switch off all of the utilities as well. Assemble an emergency supply kit. Families should keep enough water, food, and other emergency supplies to last at least 3 days, as well as enough prescriptions to last at least 7 days. Make copies of critical documents, get a radio with batteries for official weather updates, and stockpile pet supplies. Children can also make their own kits with their favorite toys included. Review the family preparation plan for a checklist of items to include. Make a family communication plan. Families should keep crucial contact information on hand and know who to contact if they become separated from one another. Babysitters and neighbors should be informed as well. Families should be encouraged to complete the preparation wallet card. Plan for children's needs. Encourage parents and caregivers to provide youngsters with simple facts about earthquakes. Whether the youngsters are at home or at school, make sure they know what to do. Children can participate in preparedness exercises with their parents. Help Kids Cope is a mobile app that teaches parents and caregivers how to communicate with children at various stages of development. During. Knowing what to do in the event of an earthquake can assist families in staying safe. Take into account the following. Families should do the following in the event of an earthquake. Drop down to prevent falling, get down on their hands and knees. Cover their heads and necks by hiding under heavy furniture and avoiding windows or anything that could fall. If they're outside, keep them away from any structures or objects that could fall on them. Hold on and remain where they are until the shaking stops. After the shaking stops, families should evacuate a damaged building. Families should assess each room and evacuate if there is any damage. This includes transporting their dogs to a safe location. Encourage them to take vital documentation and their telephones with them if at all possible. If you're imprisoned, cover your lips with your shirt, don't scream and tap on a pipe or a wall. Evaluate for injuries. Parents and caregivers must ensure that their families and people in their immediate vicinity are unharmed. Medical treatment or basic first aid may be required right away. Disasters. Hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, wildfires, tsunamis, and floods are examples of natural catastrophes, as are extreme weather phenomena like blizzards, droughts, excessive heat, and windstorms. Displacement, loss of house and personal property, changes in schools, economic hardship, loss of community and social supports, and even the injury or death of loved ones are all possible outcomes of these events for children and families. Access emergency information. Families should visit the official website or social media outlets of their neighborhood for the most up-to-date information. If the power goes out, they can use their battery-powered radio. If they live near the coast, they should heed any tsunami warnings that may be issued. Reduce potential hazards. Encourage families to be cautious when opening cabinets for the first time because stuff can fall out. To protect themselves from injury, they should wear strong shoes, long pants, and gloves. Before allowing children to play outside, they should assess the area for downed power lines or other hazards. Expect aftershocks. These can occur at any time and might be frightening. They can also cause additional property damage, therefore parents and caregivers should reconsider if an evacuation is necessary following large aftershocks. Locate a designated public shelter if needed. Families can identify the nearest open shelter by texting shelter and their zip code to 43362 for FEMA. They can also use the Shelter Finder app from the American Red Cross. To address children's reactions immediately after an earthquake, parents and caregivers can model calm behavior. Children may imitate the reactions of adults around them, and they may pick up ideas for self-care from what their parents and caregivers do. Provide simple but accurate information in a quiet, steady voice. Assist them in comprehending that an earthquake has occurred and that aftershocks are likely. Discuss whether the family will be able to live in the house, or if there are any plans to relocate. Recognize that this is a frightening time as they begin to realize the harm. Encourage comforting or distracting activities. Children may benefit from gentle breathing or holding a teddy animal or blanket to help them relax. Because electricity may be down for an extended period of time or access to outside locations may be limited, children may want assistance in identifying different activities to keep them occupied. Take a look at these handouts for some inspiration. Practice their own self-care. Finding opportunities for parents and caregivers to take a minute for themselves. Express their thoughts, accept that this is a scary circumstance, and engage in a coping plan may be beneficial. Encourage parents to think about how they'll cope if they lose contact with their children during an earthquake. Remind them to keep an eye on school updates. Encourage comforting or distracting activities. Children may benefit from gentle breathing or holding a teddy animal or blanket to help them relax. Because electricity may be down for an extended period of time or access to outside locations may be limited, children may want assistance in identifying different activities to keep them occupied. Practice their own self-care. Finding opportunities for parents and caregivers to take a minute for themselves, express their thoughts, accept that this is a scary circumstance, and engage in a coping plan may be beneficial. Encourage parents to think about how they'll cope if they lose contact with their children during an earthquake. Remind them to keep an eye on school updates. Other common reactions include: separation anxiety can be common in children and teens. Depression is common following severe earthquakes, and it is linked to post-traumatic stress reactions and changes in living conditions. Children's functioning and school performance might be affected by ongoing behavioral changes and physical health concerns. Children and teenagers can lose faith in the world's safety and security, as well as adults' abilities to protect them. Most families will recover over time after an earthquake, especially with the help of family, friends, and organizations. The period of rehabilitation is determined in part by how terrified people were and the degree of the community's devastation and loss. The way their parents and caregivers deal with the aftermath of the earthquake will have an impact on how their children function and recover. Some families may be able to swiftly resume their typical routines, while others will face challenges such as repairing damage to their house and belongings, getting medical care, relocating to a new location, and dealing with financial difficulties. Children and adolescents can benefit from specialized trauma or grief-focused mental health therapies to help them recover from the psychological effects of an earthquake. Earthquake resources. Definition: an earthquake is a sudden mild to strong shaking of the ground caused by the movement of the Earth's plates. Shaking might be sideways, up and down, or wave-like, and it can happen across a wide area. Earthquakes can last anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes, and they normally begin with a low-volume rumbling sound that can be as loud as a freight train. Earthquakes strike without warning and without warning. They can occur at any time during the year. The vast majority of earthquakes are minor and go unreported. They can, however, be severe enough to cause considerable damage to communities, such as schools, homes, bridges, dams, highways, and even large structures toppling. Earthquakes aftershocks are regular aftershocks that occur in the same area as the initial quake. The number of aftershocks is determined by the magnitude of the primary earthquake. A foreshock is a little earthquake that occurs before a larger one.